I'd like to ask you about this entire process, but I wonder if you agree with Mitch McConnell. You weighed in back in January in the speaker's fight, saying at some point here Republicans need to work with Democrats. Can they do that while there's still a motion to vacate?
They will try to perhaps change the rules to get rid of the motion to vacate. I doubt Democrats will help them do that. When we take the majority in 2024, I'm sure we will not have a motion to vacate. But if they're going to ask us to help them change the rules, we've got a lot of rules that we think we ought to change.
Well, there we go. So let's get into this just a little bit here. I wonder your thoughts, first of all, on Republicans blaming Democrats for firing Kevin McCarthy. That's the narrative that we've been hearing from a lot of GOP lawmakers. Congressman, you voted to oust Kevin McCarthy.
Every Democrat voted to vacate the chair. We don't think that Kevin McCarthy is a good speaker. We think Hakeem Jeffries would be an excellent speaker. If we can't get him installed this year, we've got next year.
What do you think is going to happen next week? And I know that you're looking at this from the Democratic side of the aisle, and nobody's consulting you right now on Jim Jordan versus Steve Scalise, but you know these individuals.
I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being Scalise in the number one position and Jordan in the number two position. I also wouldn't be surprised if we have continuing chaos. But I think their craziest members may have gotten their pound of flesh. They may have and may be willing to abide by the tradition, which is if your caucus selects a leader, you vote for that leader for Speaker of the House. But if even 5 of their members don't decide to go along with that tradition, we voted for Hakeem Jeffries 15 times last roll call back in January, and we're ready to do it again 15 times or 115 times.
And you'll be voting for Hakeem Jeffries.
115 times.
According to many, has been very disruptive and will be to the process of funding the government. Congressman, are you bracing for a shutdown on November 17th?
Absolutely. I mean, even if McCarthy had gotten what he wanted was to pass a resolution, as crazy as people wouldn't vote for, that slashed food for pregnant women and infants, that slashed federal aid to education around the country. That was what he wanted. Now, you can imagine the Democrats in the Senate aren't going to take that up. So I would suspect that we're going to have some very tough negotiations. And the question will be whether any compromise is one, A, that a new Republican speaker is willing to accept, and B, maybe they move to vacate the chair at their extremes, because I can be sure nothing that can pass the Senate is going to get Gates to vote for it. So the only way to keep the government open is to have a speaker who's willing to put on the floor a bill that Gates won't vote for.